Hey, all my Libra friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your February 2025 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Libra, I'm referring to Libra rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Libra sun and Libra moon, but the house structure will not be the same. If you don't know your rising sign, you'll want to go to one of the free birth calculators on the internet. You just need your exact time and location of birth to determine that information. When I talk about a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. Before I start, just a couple of announcements. I have done a 2025 yearly horoscope for each rising sign. I suggest that you check that out. There'll be even more detail for each month in that, as well as a love and money tarot spread for each sign. That goes by your sun sign, so you can check that out for February. I am recording this on February 4th because I'm running a little bit behind, and the transits have seemed to support my inability to get my schedule done on time. So let's start with there's going to be a full moon on February 12th. That's going to be at 24 degrees of Leo, and the sun will be conjunct Mercury on that full moon. I will be doing a separate video on that, but it's pretty significant because it's going to highlight our heart's desires from a spiritual point of view, and how we project our light out into the world, and how our mind affects the brightness or the dimness of that light. We will see a new moon on February 27th at 4:44 a.m. at 9 degrees of Pisces. I think this is pretty significant because, again, we are going through a transformation as humans where we are becoming more and more physically aware of the divinity within and our co-creation. And the planetary shifts that are happening in 2025 are supporting us moving into that dynamic. So this is important. I will be doing separate videos for both the full moon and the new moon, so we're not going to cover those as much in this video. The main aspects this month are Jupiter moving direct in Gemini. Gemini is your ninth house, Libra. This is the house of your belief system. It's also a house of business and commerce. It's a house of religion. It's a house of foreign travel, foreign people, and foreign places, foreign experiences. Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini, and yet it rules the ninth house naturally. So there is this sort of integration of the bigger concepts that you want out of life. Your philosophies have been shifting, your ideologies have been broadening, and then applying them into your everyday activities, as well as the way you speak and the way you think. Mars will move direct in Cancer on the 24th of February, and Mars has been in fall in Cancer, and it's been quite a challenge because Mars feels disrespected, doesn't feel like it can express itself fully, and it can't move as quickly as it likes. It really becomes focused on other people and their need for nurturing and for an exchange of energy. Cancer is your 10th house. This is a house of public status. It's a house of leadership. It's a house of career in many ways. So you're going to see a lot of activities starting to happen in that this year as well. So here today on the 4th, we see Venus has entered Aries. I'm going to bring up the chart now so that we can walk through it together. This particular chart is I cannot make it stay on Libra rising. So that's why I'm going to tell you the houses verbally. Aries happens to be your 7th house of partnerships, of harmony, of cooperation, of balance and flow. So what we're seeing is Venus, as she enters Aries, she's at that 0 degree. She's still conjunct the North Node, and conjunct Neptune. This is a very tight conversation about how to express the individual while stretching for my divinity, my creativity, my soul's expression birthed into the physical. Venus at this 0 degree is very powerful because she's literally on the co-creative, the most powerful co-creative degree of the zodiac. When we see 0 degrees of Aries, we're on the world axis and we are literally birthing into the physical. I can't express how powerful this is. I know Venus is in detriment in Aries. Again, this is your 7th house, but here we are in 2025, and I believe that Venus is a much more powerful energy as she has embraced her individuality, embraced her ability to create her own resources. Venus is your ruling planet. So this is a very powerful energy for you to feel a sense of yourself and your heart's desires within your cooperative relationships and components. We also see today that Jupiter has moved direct in Gemini. Gemini is your ninth house. I'm sorry, my brain. Your ninth house. Again, Jupiter rules Gemini. I mean, the ninth house, but it is in detriment in Gemini. So there is this having to integrate these broader concepts, maybe even looking at things from a new perspective. The Gemini energy is very focused on the earth plane and the information that has to do with our everyday activities and how we get through our everyday lives. When we look at the Gemini energy, we're also looking at siblings. We're looking at the interaction of our communities, our workmates, our teammates, and how our expression, how our speech, how our thought is a co-creator with these other energies, our workmates and our teammates, to express or to create an exchange. I don't want to necessarily call it a relationship, because here, as Jupiter's moving through your ninth house, it's giving you an opportunity to bring those broader concepts of where you want to be into the material as it moves into the Cancer energy and is exalted. That's going to be great for you later in the year. We also see today and throughout the month that Mars, as it is retrograding in Cancer, is making a square to Chiron in your 7th house. That's your 10th house of public image, status, and reputation, squaring your wound. It's at the Libra degree. This is pretty significant for me because it's all about balance, and balance is an ebb and a flow. Meaning nothing stays static. Nothing stays, just even keel. So it's how do we traverse these things and how do we express our individuality and have courage. Mars rules Aries, and yet there's conflict here because Mars is not able to express itself in Cancer to its fullest truth without feeling harsh or mean or angry. So it's pretty challenging. We also see a trine between Saturn in Pisces. This is your 6th house of service, of health, of your pets even. It's when I say service, I kind of stumble over that word because yes, the 6th house represents the servant energy, but it's where the soul experiences employment and taking the skills that it's cultivated over the first 5 houses in it starts to birth that into a place that is not familiar, a true interacting of providing a service, your skills, into an environment that you get compensation for. So here, I bring all this up because Pisces is asking Libra to really dream, and there's going to be a huge stellium of planets here in your 6th and 7th house, offering you an opportunity to really connect again with the deeper part of your soul that wants to be expressed, where your ego could potentially be masking that. Because Libras wanting to cooperate and wanting to create harmony can oftentimes have them hold back their deeper truth because they don't want to upset other people, essentially. So Saturn could be bringing up some history, some things that have to do with older people in your life. You could find yourself having to deal with some elders. Again, Mars is in the house of home, but in a very public way. So your responsibilities could be very intense during this particular period, this February month. Okay. Because as Mars retrogrades deeper and deeper in, it's going to go to 17 degrees. It's going to get into a tighter trine with Saturn. So there's offering wisdom, but the square to Chiron, it kind of accentuates a wound before that wisdom can be extracted. Or at least I shouldn't say before, it depends on where you are in your awareness. I'm going to move now to the 10th. And the 10th, we see Uranus has been stationed at 23 degrees. We've got Uranus over here in Taurus. Taurus is your 8th house of transformation, other people's money, death, taxes, sex, and the deep psychological imprint that really sets the path for our decision making. Here it's making a square to Aquarius, and the house of Aquarius, which is your 5th house of your self-expression, your entertainment, your fun, and to Mercury and the Sun. There's something about, and it could potentially even have to do with children, because the 5th house is the child, the conception of children. I think that potentially Taurus ruling our family history, ruling how we interact with others in our childhood, that molds, it's our family, our skills. It's like, when you're a little kid and you start to sing and you feel so great, and then somebody walks up and goes, you can't sing, and it just diminishes you. This is the Taurus energy sometimes that thwarts our skills, and Uranus is looking for liberation from that. And the square is sort of a willingness for your ego, the sun, and your mind and your speech, and even potentially your children, if you have them, and they're critical or they make a snide comment, to ignore that and to continue to pursue that which is most dear to your heart. I really think that's so important. That Venus energy is going to go in up to 10 degrees in your 7th house and then move back into your 6th house. And I believe that the 6th house is a house of mental enslavement, really. It's how we pick our jobs. It's how we, it's our self-confidence that is nurtured. And as a result of that, it's the permissions we give ourselves to stretch for things. I want to go for that job. Oh, they'll never like me. Oh, they will like me. All that comes from your Taurus energy or the 2nd house, and your 4th house energy and your Cancer energy. I hope that wasn't too much, but this square creates tension, and it creates an awareness and even potentially a frustration of wanting to move past what has been. Okay. On the 14th, happy Valentine's Day for my Libras, we will see Mercury move into Pisces. And on the 18th, we will see the Sun move into Pisces. I'm going to move actually to the 24th now. Again, this is the highlights of the month. Every week we go through the weekly transits. Now you can see there's that stellium really growing in your 6th and 7th house. The Sun is here. On the 27th, we're going to experience that new moon in Pisces. Mercury has entered and now is in a conjunction with Saturn, really bringing thoughts of your personal history, of where there's been restriction, where there's obligation, where, the house of Pisces is a very creative house, but it's also a house where I want to escape. I want to escape the darkness of the world. It's where we do see, addiction, but it's also where we see great creativity and dreams. So here it's going to be an opportunity for you to have an awareness of that, like, which direction am I going to go? Am I going to continue to have those same historic old loops with potentially my mercurial energies, which can be in your 6th house, working a cooperative component, working with someone. It could be a sibling, could be workmates, teammates, could be working with people that are older than you, but there's an opportunity to really review how those relationships are affecting you long term, and if they are nurturing you, or if for some reason you're stuck in an old pattern. because the North Node and Neptune being conjunct for the whole month, and with Venus's influence at the beginning of the month, is wanting to birth a new sense of self, a new sense of my harmony, my peace, my relationships, my skills, my talents from the soul's perspective versus from the ego's perspective. So I think this is super powerful. We also see Mars move direct today, and Mars is supporting this conjunction between Mercury and Saturn. It's almost about being maybe even a little brave about how I'm going to look at it. There's still this, it's not quite, I think a conjunction is really, 0 to 3 degrees is when it's most powerful. And then when we're getting into 4 or 5, lesser, and then anything over 5 to me is just like noise in a room. So here we're still feeling that little wound of self within that harmony. And it could be that Libra recognizes some of the areas where I'm a Libra sun. And one of the challenging sides of Libra is that because they don't like to argue with people, they tend to be passive aggressive when they're angry. They want you to figure out what's wrong versus coming out and saying it. Now, I'm a Libra sun, but I'm an Aries rising, so I don't have any problem telling people what's wrong. It's a little conflicting, but that's my Mars ruling my chart. You have Venus ruling your chart. So this little wound over here could be really transformed into something that's a gift as you are brave to take on this task here and take that trine, that harmonious energy, and capitalize on it by looking at how you have historically been thinking and inadvertently maybe even speaking and acting that wasn't serving your greatest and highest good. That's one of my greatest lessons this last year with all of the Mars activity. Now I want to go to the 25th, where we don't really actually. On the 25th, these two will be direct, meaning Mercury and Saturn. We have the new moon again in Pisces on the 27th. So let's go to the end of the month where we really get a peek at this stellium that is growing and growing in the Pisces energy. This stellium is a group of personal planets that affect the way that we feel, the way that we think, the way that we act with others and with ourselves. So this stellium is going to continue on because we see that Venus is now stationed at 10 degrees. She's about to retrograde at the beginning of March. She's going to move all the way back into Pisces. Mercury will do the same thing a few days later, will retrograde back into Pisces. We still have Neptune, the North Node, Saturn in Pisces. This is going to dominate the March energies, as well as eclipse season is coming in March. So the awarenesses that you take on right now, we see this we actually see a kite energy right here between Uranus at 23 degrees, the moon and Saturn. I would say Saturn more than anything. We see this sextile between Pluto up here. Can you see this sort of kite energy all sort of, to me, focusing in on this south node, giving me an opportunity to really look from a more analytical point of view about the energies that have worked for me versus the energies that have put me in the loop of doing the same thing over and over again, making the same decisions or experiencing the same interactions with other people. So overall, let me just stop share. What I've discovered, because I put myself on a pretty strict schedule of personal clients and doing astrology videos. And when I get behind, I get all up my grill. And so I really recognize that part of the Pisces energy is to surrender to the divine. And the divine knows no time. It wants awareness. It wants love. It wants an exchange of energy through intention. So I think that's what February is really offering us. And as we go into March, we'll be reviewing and implementing a lot of these energies from the inside out. All right, my Libras, that's it for February. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow is Wednesday, February 5th. I'm going to go live from 4 to 6 p.m. and do tarot card spreads based on your specific questions, first come, first serve, and those that donate will be moved to the front of the queue. So if you'd like to join me, I would love to have you. And if not, I'll see you in March. Have a wonderful February and happy co-creation.